Hello fellow developers. In this video I want to be talking about the window component. So the window component is just another UI element that allows you to show information about objects in the world. So here I have an example for that. You can see that a UI element appeared in front of me. And the special thing is it always appears in an angle that I can see it. So if I, for example, move further away, you see that it adjusts. If I move a bit closer, it adjusts the angle. And if I move really close, it will adjust the angle downside. And it really shows me some nice information about this object here. And it even allows me to buy something here. And I can press the X to close it. So I just mentioned the auto adjustment. So for example, if I would let something appear about the lamp, you will see that the information appeared in a kind of way that I can even look at it. And if I move even closer, it will auto adjust to face exactly the top. And of course, the auto adjustment doesn't always work in every situation. So there's a way to fix the positioning. So if we, for example, take a look at this scene right here, we can see that if I open the window component of this bush, then we will see that the window component is placed nice and neatly at the wall. And here you can even see the information on it. So it has some information talking about the tree itself. And this is one of the other things. So the window component has its name because the information is sitting on a component on the plant itself. So you can neatly predefine the information that you want to show on the component. And in this video, I want to be showing you how to set the window component up and also how to create your own widgets inside. Because, of course, in your application, you probably want a different content. So you don't always want to have a price or just a text here. Maybe you want like a different kind of menu or something like that. Or you just want to have a set of buttons or show something completely different. So I will show you how you can enter your own content in this scenario. And as a little extra, you can also pick these things up. It's quite useless actually, but yeah, maybe it's a nice to have thing. So you can also pick them up, and they will snap back as soon as you let go. So I will explain you how to set all this up, and yeah, let's hop right in the editor. So I have another fresh project from the marketplace, and here in the UI map you also find an example of the window component. So if I play, we can already see that it's up and running simply by pressing on it, and it will open up this window component. So this is a very simplistic version, and we can use that version. So if you press on this chair, you will see that there are two components on it, and if you follow the component examples, you know that with the select component you can make it open the window component by setting it to opening the window component. So the main magic is happening in the window component, and this is already a sample window component. So this already inherits from our window component that is having all the logic. So if you look inside here, we see that we have 4 elements to set. These are these 4 elements, and this is the information that the window is going to take. But because I want to explain it further, I will go ahead and make an entirely new window component. So if we look inside the folder example blueprint component window, we can see the 3 files that are necessary for the window component to work. And this is the window component simple. Again, this is a component that you find over here. And then you have a blueprint, which is the actual window component that you see appearing. And inside that blueprint, you have a widget. which is going to be our widget that we are going to customize to show to our needs. So to start this off, I will create a new folder with my tutorial content. So I will create a tutorial, and there I will create our widget component. It's maybe you want it to have a bit nicer, but yeah, let's just keep it like that so we don't have too many folders around. So the first thing that I want to take a look into is the window component simple. And as you can see, you only have a very minimal amount of logic here. Well, basically you don't have any logic, you just have a few variables. You will see if you look inside the parent has most of the logic in it, so it has all of the auto location, it has all the appearing logic in it. But this, we don't have to concern ourselves, so it will be enough just to take this as an example. So we could either duplicate that or make a child of the comp window. For simplicity reasons, I will just duplicate it. So I will drag that in here and say copy. And now we will rename that to comp window tutorial. And also for other reasons, I will remove all of the content in here. So we start with a blank slate. The other thing that we can, as the other elements that we have to use, is the BP window simple, which is again the actor. So we can drag this over as well, and we can copy it in here. And again, I'm going to rename that and call that BP window tutorial. And in here, you see you don't have any information as well. The only important thing is that we set the window, widget that we wanted to use. So currently it's still using the simple widget, sorry. And we want that to use our widget. So we have to first create our widget as well. And I'm going to do that the same way that I created the other ones. I will copy that over. And I will call that widget window initial tutorial. So I duplicated them all. I of course have to link them as well. So they're still referencing the old files. So to do that, I will go into the comp window tutorial. And in the class defaults, I only have one thing to set. And it is currently setting to be calling the BP info window simple, and I will set that to the tutorial. So now it will spawn the BP info window tutorial. And now I have to go inside the blueprint, and we can also see that it's still showing the widget simple. We want to call that call the widget tutorial. So we do that in the same way. And now we can already adjust our content in our tutorial widget and go in here. And there we see that we have we don't have a lot of elements. And this is actually one of the core concepts that I'm continue to use. So we have a design widget, which is basically another widget that I've been using to create the design. And it has slots that are made for you to put your content in. So you can basically keep that design and handle them as one widget and put your design, put your own content in there. So to be able to use that, you see that there's the design widget in there, and in the slot there's not much content. There's just a vertical box in here and a bit of content. So we could go ahead and basically delete that. Yes, we can basically delete this content. We don't need it. Okay, so now we start from a clean slate from that perspective. We Also need to change some content. This is not the most beautiful, but I'll quickly go through the logic here. So what it does on construct or on remove, it places a nice animation of showing and disappearing. Maybe you've seen that, and it plays that on the design. So if we open the design once more and quickly go in there, we can see if we press the animation, this is a startup animation, and this is a disappearing animation, and this is what it simply plays, and this is what it does on show and hide, and we simply call that from our widget. So we want to keep it like that. Yeah, and this part, yeah, it would be nicer if we would hide that, but to simply explain that, it gets most of the variables, so it gets the owning actor, and then checks, gets the window component, and it checks if all are there. So this needs to be checked for multiplayer reasons, because in a multiplayer environment, not all actors are there at the same time, especially if they're replicated. So you do have to sometimes wait for the actors to appear before continuing. Then it is checked, the owning attractable is checked. So in this case, that would be the actor that our window component is sitting on. And then it calls this initialize with actor. And this is where our logic can actually start. So we would actually start here. So this part you can basically keep the way it is. Here we are manually setting our parent widgets for our buttons. So this part you can basically keep. This is setting the parent widget for our design, so for our frame. And this part we can delete for now. We obviously don't need it since we deleted the button. This is another part that is quite important. So what is happening here is the design, since we take a look at another look at that again, it has a name and a category, and this is a name and category that we still need to set. So this is a function set title here, and we want to fill that maybe with our own information. So what he's getting here is he's getting the window simple component, and since we don't want to use the window simple component, and it won't even find that, he needs to get our window component, which is a window tutorial. So we go inside that function, and we get the window component, and we cast to our window component, which is a comp window tutorial. We combine that, and we can convert it to a pure function, because we know we are only using this window tutorial, and let it return that one, and we don't need this return anymore. So this is basically I just made this function so I don't have to copy these 4 nodes under again and again, which is, yeah, just for convenience reasons. So this makes this a bit smaller. Okay, so just to explain this further, so we have our window component window tutorial. This is this one. This is the one that we will place on the actor itself. And because we want some information of our widget to be shown here, we need to have this information on our component. So in our component, we can go ahead and create 2 variables. This is going to be a title, and a title will be of type I18 and key. So I'm always using for text fields, I'm always using I18 key. This will be covered in another tutorial, but basically this is for translation reasons. So to give this a very quick introduction, you can basically type in the name whatever you want, but if the name also appears in the data table that you show here, it will automatically be translated. That's all it does. So this is this is basically, you can add a data table, and if it finds this key in the data table here, this will be translated automatically. But we don't want to have the translation at the moment. I will explain that in another video, how you precisely do that. We just want to call that tutorial, for example. But actually we want to set that on the window itself, or on the instance itself, so I will keep that blank by now. And we also want a category, because our design also left us or made us have a category. I'll make them visible so we can edit them on the instance. And now we can go back to our widget, and since we saved and compiled that, we can get the title and get the category, for example, and we can plug that in here, and now our widget is going to have a title. And so I will remove that for simplicity reasons for now. We will recreate it soon, and I will remove I will simply remove that part and this part, and I will come back to that later. And now we can already set up our chair. I will put in another actor. Let me quickly grab something out of the I'll create a new actor. I think that's better. So I will call that example, and I will make blueprint, and I will call it BP win tutorial objects. And this needs a nice new nice asset that we can use. And let me quickly find a static mesh. So I will look for static meshes inside our example folders, and I will simply take I'll take the radio base. This is probably the easiest. So I will create a static mesh here. I will make it the root component. I will set it to the radio base. Now we have a nice new mesh here, and we can already drop it in the world. And now either on the object itself or on the instance, you could set the window component. I will set it on the instance, but again, you can also set it on the actor itself. Or maybe I will set it on the actor. So window. So we have our window tutorial here, and as you can see, it's set to window tutorial here, and now it needs to spawn somehow, or we need to tell the window to also spawn somehow, and I will simply do that on using the select functionality. So I will make it that we have our select component, and let me quickly go. I will set a tag on the window component, so we can so we are able to find it. Let me call that radio window component. Something long, but it should be definable, so we can always find it again. Save and compile that, and on the instance, on the select component, I will set it component tag to search for. I will set it to search for our radio window component, and I will tell it to trigger also self, because it should look on the radio itself. So this is already enough that our window component should appear. Just for simplicity reasons, because we have to do that once or twice, I will move my character over here so we can see it clearer. And there we see that we already have our window component, and it doesn't show us anything. That's because we kept a clean slate. But we also already created a title and a category, and we can already set those. So this should be a title, and this should be let's say tutorial. This should be a category, let's say radio. And if we hit play and we pray, we see that it shows us tutorial over here and radio over here. And you can already see that it does the auto adjusting thing. So if you move closer and the angle changes, he will try to adjust it accordingly. And if we get a bit further away, he will try to move out of the position of the radio. So he moves a bit to the side, so we can still see the radio while we press on it. The position always changes, so if I press over here, he will position it like that, so it still kind of looks at us. So now we already got the category and the title, and now the most important thing is we want to get some content on it. So this is basically the easy part. We can directly put our content in here. So what I will do is I will create a canvas panel, and I will create in here I will do a simple text field, simple text, and I will position that the way I want. So this is going to be like that, a bit of offset on the right. So it doesn't have to be beautiful, but yeah, so you get the idea. So we have a text block over here, and I will call that our main text. And obviously we don't want to just write something in here. We want to have that set from the component, so we can set it from the outside, so each actor can have a different different content. I will just make that a bit larger so we can see it in the tutorial properly. Test text. So normally I would put in a lorem ipsum text of some kind, but you'll get the idea. So this is going to be the test text, and so we have to make the variable visible, so we are able to access it in the blueprint. So now we have our blueprints over here, and since we are if we want to start implementing the text when we initialize it with an actor. So what we do is we get ours. I forgot to rename this. Let's say get window tutorial component. Obviously renaming doesn't change anything, it's just for naming purposes, so you don't get confused. So this is our window component. Remember, this points directly to this tutorial window, and since we just created a text field, we want to do that too. So we have our main text variable over here, we'll make it visible. And now in our widget itself, since we can access everything on the component right over here, we'll have that shortcut and set our text. So set text, and again, something from the internationalization, we may want to translate it before. So before we put it in there, this the I18N key is being translated into a text. So this is how this would happen, and then we can plug that directly in here. If the translation, again, if the data table key or if the data table doesn't exist, the translation doesn't do anything. It will just turn that into a text field. But it's a good habit of doing that, because this is how the internationalization system works. And if you ever want to have translation in it, it's better to have this already being used. And it's probably nicer to turn these turn these keys into text files anyway. So this is just a nice way to do it. Okay, and now this should already work, so that we can hit play. Before we hit play, I think that's important. We want to add some text, and yeah, I will. Normally, I would copy some lorem ipsum stuff, but I will just make it quite simple and do something like this. And I hope we have text wrapping actually on, or else this gets ugly. No, this is the design. This one, yeah, too many windows. So we have auto wrapping. Yeah, let's put that on, or else this will be ugly. So let's see what happens, and it already shows us the text, and it's the same text again that we put on the window component here. So this is how the link works, and this is how it's actually quite nice to do. So you can have every actor with its own text, or you can define your text on the actor. And obviously you can do the same with images, and so you can adjust your widgets how you want to do them right now. One additional thing is buttons are always different. So obviously we don't always want to just see stuff, we want to also interact with stuff. And this is where the button system comes in play. I will have another widget tutorial at some point, but basically there's a way how the buttons work inside the framework, and I will use a sample button. This is always a very good button to use, the normal button, the palette normal for everything inside VR, because this has a quite nice design. If you're planning on creating your own buttons, first of all, it's always useful to copy one that already exists and adjust it to your workflow. But another way is, or another nice way is to basically simply use these buttons that currently exist. So this is quite a versatile button. It has like a frame and it has certain animations. But obviously, if you don't want to use these as a style, make a copy of it and make it do whatever you want. So that makes it a bit easier for you. But I'll simply write something, and since we always use the exploding mechanism, I will simply set explode, because it's kind of the easiest visual effect to do. And so we have a button that does explode, and I'll make the border with a bit thicker, and the font also a bit thicker. So these buttons here, you can simply change a bit. So one important thing on this button is when it's pressed, you want to have the unpressed event, and when you press it, you want to forward the information to the actor. Normally, obviously, you can also execute the action in here, which is totally fine. You could say get me some actor of class and execute something, or you have this function, get owning actor, and set explode, for example. And actually I will do this right here just to show that it works. Particle location, spawn particle emitter at location, and I can set explode, explosion, and I want to get the actor location, and that's basically enough. So it will spawn something at the owning actor location. So very important thing, and this accounts for my logic only, is there is always a function get button containable widgets, and you want to enter all buttons in there, or all things that could have buttons. So you see the widget window design is for example already in there. That's because this thing is a button up here. So this X needs to be able to be pressed. So what he does is he will we need to add the design widget, which can be found over here, to the windows and to the widgets that could have buttons in it. And the button itself is also one of them. So I will grab the button normal. That's this one. Maybe we can rename that and call that the button explode. Let me quickly find that explode. So we can have this explode button right here. And then we need to add that to the list. So we can just make an we just make an arrow and have all the buttons in a list, or all the widgets and buttons that we want to have accessible. That's because there's no other way for him to find the buttons other way, and so we have to add them to the list. And now this should already work. So if we hit play, we should see, if we press on this thing, we first of all see this nice button, and we see that it already has this hover effect. So if we hover over it with the mouse, it does something, and if we press on it, we see that it explodes. But we also want to go one step further, and that is because creating anything inside widgets is not multiplayer compatible. So there is kind of a workaround that you have to do to get yourself multiplayer compatible, or for widgets to be able to communicate with actors, or no, to be replicating on actors. And this is what this function is for. So this function lets something execute on the actor on the server, because again the widget does not exist on the server. So a widget, let me show that again. So the server will have the actor, but it will not have the widget. The widget logic will not execute on any server. So there's no replication happening there. So what it has to do, it first has to get the widget would have to send a signal to a client in the same environment, and then you would have to pass it to the server, and then the only place to execute it properly is on the actor itself. So this is actually quite the long step that it takes. I believe in the documentation there's an image inside widgets and replication and how this is done, because it goes over several steps just to get the function executed. But nevertheless, we don't have to worry about that much. So the only thing we have to do is attach this execute widget functionality on there, execute the pawn on there, and then we set the command that we want to have. And we could also pass in references, but we don't need that. And then I'll simply copy this thing so I can have it for later. And this is all we have to do on the widget side. And now on the actor itself, so remember we have the tutorial object, and now we can say add widget button pressed, and so let me quickly remember that properly. So this is going to execute on the widget, and this is going to call, and this is going to call widget button pressed. Perfect. So this is basically all we need. And since we set it here to explode, we may want to switch it on name, so because we can have different things happening here, or we could have different buttons. I will set this to explode, and we want to have this functionality here, and we connect it on the actor itself. So again, it takes quite a long route until it actually appears here. So it goes over the pawn, and the information is traveling through a lot of entities, but then it finally appears here, and we can set it to explode. And the location that we want to set it to explode is the get actor location. Okay, so simply like that, and this should actually have the same effect. Let's pray and hope it works, or else we have to do some debugging. No, but the explosion still works, and this time it's happening on the actor. So to quickly prove you that, which I hope it does not need any proof, then I can show you that this, since we have it on debugging, we can press play right now, and you can see that the code is executing here. Okay, so one very last thing, because this should already be quite enough. Is this way you can create your own widgets the way you like, with the content that you would like. And oh yeah, there are actually two things that I still want to explain. So obviously this is the location, the automatic location, and it stops having an automatic location as soon as we set it or as soon as we override the location. And this is what's happening here. So I will add a scene component to the world, and this is going to be that arrow, and I will position that scene component somewhere, and I will give that thing a tag and call it, for example, window position. The name you can choose by yourself. It just has to be, we just have to copy that name, and in the tutorial we can set the position to be happening over here and set it to play, and now it will appear here and doesn't have its auto location anymore. It will just stay here wherever we go. So you can really position them nicely in your scene if your scene allows that and doesn't need any perfect location. And there's another thing that I didn't mention. You can have as many windows as you want. So this is, for example, second window, and let's call it second window position. And then what we can do is we can simply add a window here, and we will also make that the tutorial one, and we will set that to second window position. That should be the same name. I'll just for purpose's sake, I will copy that, and then this arrow I will move over here, and we can hit play, and we see that we don't see any additional window over here, and that is that's because we said none here. It doesn't allow us to do any different ones over here. That's of course a shame, because I did want to show that in the other example in the beginning I had a picture here and a window here, but it doesn't allow me to do the same windows here, which wouldn't make any sense anyway, like creating same windows multiple times. So I will just for simplicity reasons, I will show something in here, and I will create this into an image, or I will put a new image here just to show you that you can have multiple windows happening here. So that's just a very fixed show. Obviously we don't want to have it looking like that, but just so we can have this window, info window, window that should be happening here. Let me widget initial. That is annoying. That's an editor mistake. So hopefully I can rename that, and he will find the new window. No, he doesn't find it. So we will have to cut that there. So you would be able to create multiple windows, and if I would restart the editor, it probably would work. So yeah, I think I should keep that there, or else it gets too messy, and this video is already way too long anyway. So I think I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked that I showed a bit more of the programming side, and I hope from now on you will be able to create your own window components and window objects. So I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye.